Rob, Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay said he was having fun this season for the first time in a while. Even after that loss, that ugly playoff loss to San Francisco, he was happy because he said it was fun for the first time in a while. And then as the draft was nearing, he was excited because he thought the Packers were going to draft a skill position player. Hopefully, you assume a wide receiver to play next to Devontae Adams. Instead, they go out and draft a quarterback, eerily reminiscent of what they did 15 years ago when Brett Favre was 35 or 36 and they drafted a young Aaron Rodgers to eventually replace him. That's what this looks like. And I can't imagine Aaron Rodgers. We know there's no controversy. Aaron Rodgers is the starter. But he's talked about wanting to play till he's 40 and beyond. How do you think he's feeling about this?
I think he understands the business, and he was in the same exact position, except for it took him 3.5 years to get on the field. Remember? I mean, he sat there.
Well, Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, yeah.
Right, because Brett was productive and was the star quarterback. So I think he has to understand that this is a part of the business that goes with it. But the only negative thing I would say is you were 13-3 last year. You got to the NFC Championship game. And for the right here, right now, you should be trying to use that pick to give him some help or whatever happened last year with the defense or defensive player or something, Chris.
Or receiver,
Yeah, but something that can help you as you're going here. I'm not saying that later on, if there was a quarterback that you would maybe, dip into that pool, but I could see where you would say it's great to think about the future, but the present right now is not bad. The Packers are back on the map with the great running game, right? And with some other offensive playmakers, but they need more. Aaron needs more with that team as they go into into next season. So that's the part where I would scratch my head that you were thinking really that this guy you just couldn't pass up or you couldn't wait for a later round. I think that's the disservice that they did, not getting him a player that he could utilize right away. Jordan Love doesn't help Aaron Rodgers at all. He's not going to see the field. He's not going to play. Do you see what I'm saying? He just doesn't do anything for Aaron Rodgers. So that's the only part. But and I get the organization. All organizations, if you don't do it, you wind up being caught when that guy is done, like where the Patriots are now, where you don't have a guy. You're not ready for it. And I know that they have Jimmy Garoppolo, Chris, and then they traded him, but you don't have a guy. So I do understand the organization. But if I'm an organization and I have Aaron Rodgers, I'm trying to win a championship, and I'm going to give him all that I can, even if it's for the next just 4 or 5 years and that's it, I still want to give him the best opportunity to try to win a championship for Green Bay.
And why? That's the thing. I think it was a good move from my perspective. Because as you said, like they didn't miss a beat. There are franchises how long has Miami been trying to replace Dan Marino?
25 years.
They may have finally done it, maybe.
It might be longer than that. Seriously.
Right. We don't know. We'll see how Tua pans out. But there are franchises that go decades without, replacing a great quarterback. And Green Bay, to its credit, went from Favre to Rodgers, and we'll see if they go there from Love. Some people think he could be a Patrick Mahomes. And with the 2-3 years he'll have to just learn from Aaron Rodgers, that's a good situation for him to be in. So I get it from Green Bay's standpoint. I actually think it was a good move. But I don't like it if I'm Aaron Rodgers. Because as you said, Rob, they're trying to win now. How long's Rodgers waiting? And now you see that they are picking your replacement. They've already got him. They already got his replacement. And Aaron Rodgers now, we had an NFL Randy Mueller on last week, Rob, when you were out. Former NFL general manager, now scouts the league. He said, hey, there's nothing wrong with competition. And he agreed with me that I think Rodgers has been on the decline. Rodgers may not he may not be great until he's 40. He may be more like Peyton Manning and fall off at 38, 39. Everybody's not going to be Drew Brees or Tom Brady. But this shows me that the Packers do think that Rodgers is starting to dip. And he is. His numbers just aren't what they used to. Passer rating is, one of his lowest of all time. His QBR, was his lowest of all time. He can't carry him like he used to. But maybe this will spark him. I'd love to see it spark him and he go back to being the old Aaron Rodgers. I'm just not sure whether or not that'll happen. I just don't,
people talk out of both sides of their mouth. Oh, Aaron forces the ball. He doesn't do this. He doesn't do that. He doesn't force the ball. A new coach comes in, and they want to do a different offense, and Aaron Rodgers has to adapt. Is he coachable? That's all we heard. And what did he do? He followed the coach's game plan, which I didn't think was the greatest. I mean, I know everybody was the Sean McVay. Anybody who had a cup of coffee and a sweet roll got a job, and LaFleur was supposed to be the new hotness and all that. Their offense was all right. It wasn't hot every week or wasn't as innovative as it could be. So all I'm saying is I want to see the second year in this offense and what they figure out. And then after that, I'll take a look at Aaron Rodgers.
So you don't see any dip?
I'm not saying I'm going to see any. People normally dip as you get older. You're not going to be the same you were 10 years ago.
He's only 36.
Yeah, but
I didn't see a dip in Tom Brady at 36. I saw Super Bowls coming.
I saw Tom Brady.
4 on the horizon.
No, I saw Tom Brady dip and not be as good.
How did he win 3 Super Bowls after that? Then?
Because he was lucky. How many times am I going to tell you
he was lucky? Or stop it.
He's the luckiest of all time.
Yeah. I didn't see a dip in Peyton.
But we'll see. We'll see how it works out this year, and where the Packers are, and Aaron Rodgers. Because I'll tell you one thing: if you put him on the market, there'd be 20 teams that would take him tomorrow.
Maybe. At that money, I'm not so sure. I like him, but there's been a decline. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And like you said, I would think he'd have wanted some help at receiver or somewhere else to get them over the hump from being 13-3 last year. But we will see. He was our former colleague at the old place. We'll just put it that way. We never saw him, though, because all of us are running around up there in Bristol. But now he's a Washington Post NFL columnist and the host of the School with the Professor podcast. It is the professor himself, John Clayton. John, welcome to the Odd Couple.
How are you?
This is great. This is a once-in-a-lifetime experience being with you guys again.
No doubt about it.
Definitely.
Who came up with the once in a lifetime?
I told him, John, he needs to stop saying that.
No, but
I think
you know
it's
what?
Once in a lifetime that he plays.
But John, I give Shannon Sharp. He was the first one I ever heard say it. I don't know where he got it from, but Shannon Sharp was the once in a lifetime. So there it is.
Fantastic.
Well, speaking of Carson Wentz, John, let's start there. What do you think about the Eagles drafting Jalen Hurts? I know their fans weren't too happy about it.
I don't think they should be happy about it because maybe you can get away with it in the AFC where you have maybe legitimately 5 playoff teams. You may not have 7, and you look in the NFC and you have 10 to 11. And so if you sacrifice for no playing time a second-round pick or even a first-round pick like the Green Bay Packers did,
right,
you're killing yourself. And the reason you're killing yourself is that you need as much to surround it because in the NFC, you've got about a dozen quarterbacks making $21 million or more. Most of them have been to the Pro Bowl, and you've got 11 playoff teams in there, at least playoff caliber teams. And so you can't get away with sacrificing a second-round pick, to get a quarterback who, if you wanted to be Taysom Hill, nice, but it's like, you have Carson Wentz. You're paying him $32 million a year. It's like, okay, if you're not happy with Nate Sudfeld as a backup, get a better backup, but don't use a second-round pick. Example, if you go back to 2016, right, picks 21 for 32 is a 75% failure rate. But if you look in the second round, they ended up getting 3 franchise player, Michael Thomas, and so many other big stars. A second rounder is so valuable, and this draft had the deepest second round of any in the last 10 years. You can't do it.
And you mentioned, John, the Packers as well. And I know that they did the same thing when they brought Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre was there around the same age. My only thing is you went to the NFC Championship game a year ago, and Aaron Rodgers is getting older, not younger. Why don't you surround him with some players and use that for now and not waste a pick on a guy who probably won't play for 3 or 4 or 5 years, or probably at least. Does it make sense?
No, what it does, it basically gives Aaron Rodgers the knowledge, just like Brett Favre learned. It's like, okay, you're a goner in 2 years. There's an out in his contract after 2 years, and so he's got 4 years left in the contract. Well, rookie contracts are only 4 years. So if Aaron Rodgers lives up to what he usually does, then you're not going to get him on the field for 4 years. And so you've wasted a first-round pick. And then in the best receiver draft in the last decade, you didn't get a receiver. And then to make matters worse, you cut your tight end, Jimmy Graham. I know they took a third-round pick at tight end, but how can you do that? I mean, you take a first-round pick, you trade up, and then you don't get anything around Aaron Rodgers. I mean, they had Devontae Adams last year as their only true receiving threat, and nobody else caught more than 37 passes. Nobody caught more than 37 passes. And so it's like that group wasn't good enough, and now it's still not good enough. They needed to take a pick, not necessarily take a quarterback of the future.
Well, John, you mentioned that Rodgers now knows they're looking at him for the next 2 years, and that's it. I know he's going to be professional, but how do you think he's going to feel about this? Like, is he going to have an attitude, or is this going to upset him?
I think he's going to have an attitude. I mean, he's always had an attitude. I mean, when he came out of Cal and Jeff Tedford, had that crazy, you have to throw the same way, everything right above your right hand above your ear, and you throw it like that. And that wasn't his style, and probably cost him the chance to maybe be the first pick in the draft, because here he was going against Alex Smith. And so he drops all the way down to Green Bay's pick in the 20s, and has to wait 2 years to get a chance to start. But I mean, he got his natural arm delivery back in about a year and a half, and you can see he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. But see, what you're looking at with this situation, it's similar to what Aaron Rodgers experienced, because Brett Favre wasn't fond of the move, and he didn't treat Aaron that great.
He wouldn't even talk to him, right?
No, this is. I mean, even though John Elway was good to Tommy Maddox, this is the Tommy Maddox repeat, because John did treat Tommy Maddox well, but he didn't like the idea of having Tommy Maddox there as a first-round pick. And before long, after a few years, they got rid of Tommy Maddox wisely because they had John Elway. Well, you have Aaron Rodgers, who arguably can play 4 more years, and you're wasting 4 years of money on Jordan Love. You're wasting 4 years of anxiety for Aaron Rodgers, and you're not getting a better talent. Not good.
John, what about, I want to ask you about Tom Brady and Tampa Bay. My only thing is, when they got Gronk and Tom supposedly talked them out of retirement. First of all, I don't want players that you got to beg to come back to play, because you should want to play. And I just look at it as old-timers day. They're living in the past. Gronk's numbers the last few years, and I know he's been injured, weren't that great, and definitely going the other way. What do you make of the Gronk thing?
I love it. I mean, he went to my high school, so it's like,
All right, that doesn't count. That doesn't count.
We have potentially 3 Hall of Famers, one who probably didn't deserve to do it from my high school. Gronk should make it, Jason Taylor make it, and then you have me.
Oh,
so
my.
I'm the odd man out here. But
that's
it's like,
unbelievable.
But what I like about it is that, and again, it's probably being overrated, because I'm seeing how Vegas going crazy on this stuff. Remember, when Tom Brady went over there, he was the only guy that basically came over in free agency. And all of a sudden, they took him up to 9 wins. Well, it's probably valid because it's Tom Brady. Then they get Gronk, and then they go up to 9.5 wins on the over-under. Then you look at the next thing is like, okay, so now they were able to get the right tackle by trading a 4th-round pick, getting into 13. Now you're thinking 10. And I saw some ratings today on over-unders that had him over the New Orleans Saints. I think we're getting a little too much. I mean, they're a legitimate wild card contender right now, but the move, I think, was great because Gronk is a good blocker, Certainly, he's got injury issues right now, but he's going to be fresh. He stayed out a year, and as I think Greg Bedard wrote in Boston the other day, it's like he didn't retire from football. He just retired from Bill Belichick.
John, we got about a minute left. What do you think the future holds for Cam Newton?
I think he's going to have to wait till an injury happens, and the problem with that, there may not be an exhibition season, so you're not going to have any injuries during in the preseason games. So I think he's in trouble because, again, he can't have a physical right now. He may not be able to get a physical with another team until, say, June or July. That puts him in a position he has to wait.
Wow.
Always
All
a
right.
pleasure, John. Man.
John, definitely great to catch up with you.
It's great to catch up every once in a while.
There you go. Very nice.
I think that's all how often he plays, every once in a while.
Whatever. And we'll come visit you in Pennsylvania once in a while. How's
There we
that?
go. Sounds good.
All right,
All right,
John.
John. Thanks, man.